Um, no, Andree, we're not able to hear you. I saw that you had the audio setup wizard on. Do you have a mute button on your headset maybe? Are you able to hear us? Andree, I know that you had gone through the audio setup wizard. The indicator showed it. Did you click the talk button? I didn't see the indicator that you had clicked the talk button. Andree, you haven't clicked the talk button. It's right below. Do you see the little pictures of me? You have to click that button. Okay, now you've got that button clicked. Make sure you don't have your mute on.
I don't.
And make sure your mic is plugged in. Oh, there we go. There we go. We got you.
I don't have my mute on. Do you hear me?
I hear you now. We're all set.
Oh, my goodness.
Woo, we got it.
I'm glad this is a friendly crowd. At least I hope you're still friendly. I will save the long story for another discussion. But if we can begin, okay. I think all of you know me. I am Dr. Andree Swanson with Ashford University, but I created this independently. Many years ago, I was the Dean of General Education at a distance learning school in Cheyenne, Wyoming. And we were on the ground trying to get accredited by HLC. And one of the things that we thought that we needed, much like we're familiar at Ashford, and I'm sure that at other schools, Mark, maybe Michael, maybe you might be familiar with, a writing center. So what I had done was created many, many PowerPoints and many things to incorporate into a writing center. Thus, the copyright on this is 2009. Granted, it started off as 5th edition, and what I would do, I'm going to present this as though I were presenting it for students. So what I'll do is ask you to hold any questions, and then you can go ahead and there will be a time for you to ask questions and move forward. I have very many different topics, and as you've seen, that in January I will have sessions each week. And Jackie, who just hosted you here, she said that would be a great time for those who are on a regular semester. So this is what we're going to cover today. APA style, where do I turn for information, what in-text citations are, paraphrasing, peer-reviewed articles, academic writing, and I'll ask you if you have any questions. So before I proceed, do you have any thoughts or questions? Or remember, these ultimately will be for students, so I am looking for your feedback so that I can update the information. Just as another note, if you have not already asked me for a subscription to my Dropbox, no, that's nothing that you pay for. It's just that I add you in there. Please email me, and I think all of you either are in there or know my email, know how to reach me, and I can just add you in there. And what we've been doing is I've been incorporating information that can be used in the classroom from pictures, etc. So let's go forward since there's no questions. So where do you turn? Okay, so you're the student, and where do you turn if you need assistance for APA references? Well, of course, I am pretending that they don't have a writing center to turn to. So they have this PowerPoint, you have books, and there's websites available. At the graduate level, and you know, I'm coming at this from teaching at the graduate level at a variety of different schools. I find unless you're a doctoral student, this is maybe over your head. If they could just basically get the basic ideas down, I would be so happy. So this is something that, you know, I would recommend for doctoral students, but for all students, I would have them bookmark and use this as a reference, apastyle.org. It used to be, as you can remember, in the 5th edition, they really didn't have a good website. And they also have something that you may not be familiar with, but that's apablog.org. That is a very good website for finding out how to cite sources such as social media, wikis, emails, things like that. Okay, so on this website, you will see there's a Facebook page. You know, everything's all about Facebook. They do have a Twitter account also. Oh, and there it is, the APA Style blog. I think between the three of those, they can find out their answers to their questions if the students are so motivated to do so. Now, for some schools, and I recommend this, it is not as in-depth as the APA manual. It's a little bit easier to use, and I would recommend this for students who are pretty serious about their education and they want to know how to do this. I recommend this book. So now you have basic formatting questions. What format should I use? Now these are some fundamental things that apply to all APA papers. The bottom line is I'm going to tell you that I am telling you this information and it adheres to APA 6th edition. Please call me if I'm, you know, bring it to my attention if just a minute there. I have a virus on my computer, another long story. So these are the standards of the APA. I'm going to tell you up front is that every professor has their own interpretation of APA. And some of them take it to the letter and hold you accountable. Some of them deviate a little bit, and you know, the bottom line is it's their classroom. So if they tell you they want it this way, you know, that's okay. You want to earn a grade in that class, but what I'm showing you here is APA format, and this will stand up to any of the sources that I am referring to. So a paper is double-spaced throughout, from the cover page to the references. It's double-spaced. It's not extra spaces where there's an extra indent, there's an extra, it's straight double space. So if you are going to be a long-time student, I would recommend setting your default settings to double space with 0 before and 0 after. There's no additional blank lines. I know when I first started, I was like, ooh, this doesn't read well. This doesn't look right. Well, it's not about looking right, it's about putting it in APA format. And there's no additional blank lines. I know it reads better if you add a little extra space in between, but don't do that. The font should be Courier or Times New Roman. I know some people, I work with, I'm writing with someone, I don't think she's in the room right now, no she's not, who uses Arial font all the time. If I were in her class, I would maybe do Arial font. But always check with your instructor. I can't say that enough. The one thing that we hear as faculty all the time is, well, the last professor, blah, 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 blah. As long as you're adhering to APA format, you can't be wrong, okay? So your margins need to be 1 inch all the way around. That has changed over time. So one of the things I do, and I won't go through this for you, but one of the things I would offer them is there are also YouTube videos, and that maybe is something that I could update this. I may be the one to create some of those YouTube videos. Do I have any volunteers for someone to help me? You know, just an example of showing them how to create the running head. Oh, thank you, Michael. Thank you. Because I would like to make these our own. I do send them to other people's YouTube videos and other websites. I mean, we all send them to Purdue's OWL, right? You know, and I don't think that's perfect, but you know, it's the next best thing since sliced bread. So, you know, let's put it on our to-do list of let's create a few videos and create an account. Oh, yeah, that's great. So I'm not going to go through this right here. But here's an example. I can't tell you how many times, there are no students in here, right? Okay. How many times the running head is, the only thing that's incorrect is they'll capitalize the H. And I'll tell them it's incorrect, and I'll tell them to look at the sample paper that I give them, and they still continue to get this wrong. This changes for the school, but the bottom line is you never put your name first. I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure you've seen it too, is the names first. You know, this is dependent upon your school, etc., and I would always say ask your instructor. So quotations, how do you handle those quotations? If the quote is less than 40 words, and go ahead and count them, not one by one, but highlight them and count them. Maybe that's another video we need to click. Or that could be just a Jing video. Is showing them how to count their words. Use quotation marks. And the other thing that's a pet peeve of mine is they don't include the parenthetical citation within the sentence. So when I do have the opportunity to go one-on-one like this with them, they do get it. Because they hear me tell them that it is part of the sentence. So here I'm going to shortcut on some of this because you guys know this. I need to align that. So the mid-sentence quotations, I'll do that. And I'm just going over this quickly because you guys are experts already. So I go over end of sentence quotes. Then I show them how to do long quotes. And I'm highlighting, the citations themselves. So a sample block quote, this happens to be from my dissertation. I highlighted the parenthetical citations, and then I highlighted the block quote. Here's some more information that's directly from the APA manual. This is another one of my pet peeves, and this comes from the APA manual, that you should use past tense. I want to tell them, I want to go, when did you read the article? Yesterday. It's past tense. When was it written? Probably years ago. Past tense. So here are two excellent websites. One of the things I've given them the URLs right here, and this URL, this Hacker and Fister handbook, quite honestly, this is the best. I think it's a little bit better than the OWL because what it has is a drop-down menu. So let's say you need to know how to write a reference with 4 articles, there's 4 authors, there's a drop-down menu for it. It gives you an example. Then you need to know how to cite it. You go to the references and you cite it. The little trick that I tell them is if you can't remember this URL and you want to get it right and you're on a foreign computer, or even if you're just at home and you forgot to bookmark it, type in Google APA Hacker. It will come up all the time, and I joke and I tell them that it's not an APA hacker. It is it's the last name of one of the authors. She used to do it alone, but it still comes up. So that's one way if they can't think of anything else and haven't bookmarked it and don't have the manual, etc. It's right there for them. I forgot what I was going to say. So in-text citations, they notify the reader of 2 items, the author and the year, etc. Here I show them how to insert a page break. 2 things, and for those of you who use Waypoint to grade, they will never have a formatting issue. And Michael, let me just explain to you that Waypoint is a program that aids us at Ashford University in grading. And what they do, the student uploads the paper, and then the program PDFs it. Well, if they don't use page breaks, the reference line will be on the bottom of the page before. The page of text will start on the bottom of the cover page. So I tell them you need to use 2 page breaks in your paper. At the bottom of your cover page, hit a page break. And this is another little Jing video that I could create or someone else could create. And at the bottom of the text, when you've written your conclusion, yes, you will write a conclusion, and it will be labeled as such. So this is the point where you would create the page break. Reference page. Use the hanging indents. That's something else that I would show them. See, this is double-spaced. we could do a video to show them how to set up the hanging indent. Although I do this here, it might be, you know, we got to hit every kind of learner. And of course, the first kind of learner that we have to hit is the one that's self-sufficient, or the one that will attend these sessions, or the ones that will look at this information. So how do you know if it's common knowledge? I run into this all the time because I teach at the College for Financial Planning, and all of them are financial planners, and I'm not a financial planner. And they like to, you know, use acronyms, etc., that maybe I'm not familiar with, or maybe I'm not familiar with the concept that they're talking about. And even though it's common knowledge to them, it's not common knowledge to your reader. So, you know, never assume. I would tell them to never assume that anyone knows anything. Tell them, explain it. So some of the ways to determine if it's common knowledge, and I use the example of the president. For example, we know that the president is married and has 2 children. We probably even know that he has a dog. But would we know his birthday? Would we know, you know, the date of marriage? You know, specific dates, or you need to cite. And like I say at the top of this slide on the right, when in doubt, cite. Better to cite it than not cite it. I think one of the common issues, and for all students, and I know I felt that way too, the thought of putting a parenthetical citation after almost every sentence it just looked weird to me. I was all about, oh, I want the paper to look nice. The content will be great, but it won't look nice if you have all of that. Well, as you know, we don't read those parenthetical citations as we're reading them, but as your reader finds something of interest, they will often go and check it. Now, there are occasions as a faculty member I do find something that interests me, and I do look at it, and I do want it, you know, sometimes I've even had them send me the article only because I'm too lazy to look it up, and I want to really see if they've looked it up, etc. And I'll have them send it to me because it is of interest, and maybe it's something that I can apply back in the classroom. However, it's getting them into the mindset that it is okay to put a lot of parenthetical citations throughout the paper. That is, you're in academia now, and that is, that's the key. You want to sell yourself. I often tell them that what you're doing is kind of like going to court or going to an auditor, an IRS auditor. You have to bring receipts. You have to bring documents. You have to bring. I'm not a lawyer. You know, you have to bring this stuff to court. Why? Because you're proving it with examples, etc. Well, that's what this reference list is, and those are the sources that are proving to your reader that you know what you're talking about. You know so much about the topic that you researched it and found experts in that area that say the same thing as what you're saying. So if we can convince them that this is not a creative writing paper, that this is a research paper. Even if they're not research per se, they are based in fact, and every statement of fact, this is something that I reiterate all the time, every statement of fact must have a citation. So if we say the sky is blue, well, that might be common knowledge. That's not a good example. But, okay, let me proceed here. So then I show them about appendices. Typically, even at the master's level in the classrooms, there's not a lot of appendices and figures. There are some, but I just want to share that with them. So on the title page, this is from APA, and this is what the title page says. The one thing I tell them up front is, when in doubt, ask your instructor if you need an abstract. I personally don't need an abstract on a 3-page paper, even a 5-page paper. They don't typically write abstracts. They tend to write summaries or introductions. But this is the way it should go. The abstract and the text pages, the references, etc. Here we go. Common APA errors that I see all the time: not double space. They like to justify the text because it looks good. Needs to be left. They like to use the author's first name. Reference page is not alphabetized. Anonymous authors are listed and incorrect APA citations. So points to remember that, you know, the bottom line is the message that I'm going to send them is you're adding credibility. This isn't a punishment thing to cite your sources. This is adding credibility to your work. So at the end of this session, I'm going to tell them to please contact their instructor. And that's it. Now, as I go through it with the students, I'll go a little bit slower. I'll take questions throughout. I'd like to know what kind of questions or what did I get wrong, what would you like me to add to this. Now, I do want to remind you that this was an overall overview, not just a it didn't go over everything, because as you can see from my future things, I'm going to go into everything from citing social media, because that tends to be the trend with everyone out there, including us. So your feedback, thoughts, comments. Michael, we're going to have to figure out some videos, maybe some Jing videos, maybe some longer videos, and perhaps create that APA YouTube account. I'll create one that says APA and Beyond, and we'll load that in there too. And then also, I mean, this is not to do away with any kind of resources that you have at your school. This is only the supplement. And that's why, well, these weren't created at one time for a school, but now I'm using them to supplement. So any questions? Leah, Vanessa, Janet, Mark, Michael, any questions? Can you hear me? Okay, good, good. You know, please, thank you. If there's anything that you want to specifically see me cover, I will gladly do this. The other thing is, if you want to, I'm building these so you can announce them in your classrooms and say, hey, if you're having trouble and you're available, I'm going to be doing these on Thursday nights. The reason why is Thursday nights tend to be my seminar nights, and that's just one day. I know that on Thursdays I won't book anything else, and now I will also get this computer up and running an hour in advance, not a half hour in advance. It just works well for me. That doesn't mean that you can't go to my Dropbox and set up a webinar for yourself. If you aren't familiar with the webinar series that the USDLA has provided, it's just this. You tell them the topic, you tell them the date and the time. If you don't have a means to deliver, like I can use Join Me. As a matter of fact, at 7 o'clock I'm moving to my other computer and I'm doing a Join Me presentation. You can use that, or you just tell her, I need something, and she will provide it, just like this, and this will be archived. So if you want to, if you're that eager, you can set up and have office hours or whatever. I mean, or these will be archived too. So at some point you can say, go to modla.org and look at the archive for here. We're trying to make it as easy and as easy as it is for anything. Thank you, Vanessa. Thank you, Leah. That was just it. I told her that on Join Me, I have not been able, well, yes, I can. I am able to record, but there are huge files and I'm not really sure about saving it. So I just told her I didn't have not an LMS, a presentation tool. So she just set it up for me. Pretty cool, huh? So in the calendar event that you initially got, the URL for Blackboard was there. So even if you want to do it on anything, oh, okay, well then you can use any meeting. But if you don't want to and you want to use Blackboard Collaborate, she being the Missouri, yeah, I like this too. It might be good for students, and you can record it. So she'll set it up for you, and we'll run it, which is really pretty cool. It kind of serves two purposes for, it's a very useful tool for us to offer this, and then it also encourages people to be interested in the Distance Learning Association. Yeah, I will, if you go to modla.org, and I don't know if I can go to a website from here, no. If you go there, and on the left-hand side, there's like a home page, and then it'll say members, and where it says members, if you click on that, there's about 6 squares. I don't remember what the squares say, but on there it says webinar, and if I don't get her email to you, I will, I'll encourage you to go there. Well, any questions? Anything I can add? I tend to be pretty upbeat when I present. I strongly encourage them on the reason behind. I'm all about, what, it's like if I have to do something, you have to tell me why I have to do it. I was all about the aesthetics of a paper. It needs to look pretty. I was not into an academic writing paper, and it took me years. I mean, after my master's degree, I was more into the look pretty mode. It wasn't until my doctorate that I really got it. I was like, oh yeah, you need to cite everything. So, if you don't have any other questions, I am so glad there are so many Ashford people here. You guys rock. Michael, I am so glad you are very supportive of everything that I do. So I appreciate that. And we will conquer the APA world with small little bites. Now, all you need to do is share. Share this information. Yes, I really look forward to collaborating on this too. Well, I'm going to say goodbye, and I'm going to sign off and get ready for my next presentation. Bye-bye.